What's going on, guys? It's your boy Anthony back with another edition of the Fourth Man. Happy Monday. It's Monday, May 23rd, and happy draft week. It's a big week, obviously, in the big three with the draft coming up this Wednesday. A lot of guys competing for 22 spots for season 5, and just going to be a great week. We got a lot on the agenda in terms of what we're doing over here at the Fourth Man, doing some collaborations with other entities out there with some players, and excited to see how these teams shape up. It's going to be really interesting. And today's show, we got another great one. I'm going to update you on all the roster transactions, confirm a few more captains. Got another confirmation today. And also, we're going to have a dope interview on the back end. So you have an idea of what specific team or one specific team and what they're kind of looking for. They've kind of mentioned it already a little bit through some other captains, but got one more captain that you don't typically hear from. One of the OGs of the big three. So going to get to all the news as well as our interview. But before we do all that, as always, if you're not already following the show on social media, if you're not subscribed to us with the notification bells on YouTube, now's the time to do so at Fourth Man Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Facebook is more necessary this week. I'll tell you why in a second. Make sure you're subscribed to YouTube, youtube.com/fourthmanpod. More important than ever. And always appreciate our listeners over at Dash Radio on the Nothing But Net channel on Saturday and Mondays. We appreciate you guys as always. The reason why Facebook and YouTube are so critical this week is because we're doing some live streams. So this episode will actually be released the day of. So make sure you're listening on May 24th. The day of, we're going to be doing a live stream mock draft. It'll be me and potentially my guy, Jordan Daly, over at Daily Media and the co-host of the Underdogs podcast with Mike Taylor and Craig Smith, a couple of big three guys. We're going to be doing a mock draft, doing a live mock draft. That should be a lot of fun. We did it last year. I got about 2 or 3 right. So definitely some inaccuracies, but it's always fun. I like to try to tie the pieces together, the connections together, why it might make sense, and just give you an idea of what I'm thinking. So if you're forming your own mock drafts, or just to give you an idea before draft night, you can kind of maybe put some pieces to the puzzle together as well, especially as like the draft is actually rolling and guys are actually going to different teams. Like maybe it'll make more sense as we continue on throughout the draft. So doing the live mock draft on Tuesday, and then Wednesday is the big day. Obviously, it's going to be draft night. So you want to be watching the draft. But we're also going to be giving our live reaction and doing a live stream of that on Wednesday, where we'll give some analysis, some breakdowns, and we'll hear from some of the co-captains of different teams. We are going to have Dante Green, co-captain of Killer Threes, who called the #1 pick last year on our live stream. But we're adding a few more players as well as a draftee within this year's live stream in collaborations with the Underdogs podcast. So, we got to have Mike Taylor, co-captain of Ghost Ballers. We're also going to have Craig Smith, big three vet, top 5 scorer in 2019 with Enemies, top 5 pick last year with Ghost Ballers, and he'll be one of the names that could be called on Wednesday. So we'll have him and get his reaction if he is called, which based on his resume, I think he should. And we'll also have co-captain of Tri-State, Justin Denman, also last year's runner-up to 4th Man of the Year on the show as well. So we'll get some reaction, maybe some thoughts or ideas of why select teams went with certain players. And that should be really interesting too, because we can get their analysis on different picks as well. And maybe if they think, oh, our team was going to go with that, like just live reactions, it'll be fun. Make sure you have 2 screens or you're watching our live stream, somewhere else, because obviously we can't broadcast the actual draft on our stream, but we'll be watching alongside you guys as well. And we'll give our live reaction. So make sure you're subscribed, because that'll go live on Facebook, on YouTube. It'll go live on Twitter. I'll see who else is willing to put it on or connect our stream to their social medias. But right now, it'll go on the Fourth Man Twitter, on the Fourth Man YouTube, as well as the Fourth Man Facebook page as well. And I'll announce that on all social medias as well. So big week, not only for the players. Let me rephrase. Big week, especially for the players, especially for the 130 plus guys that are in the draft pool, but also big week in terms of content, because we want to be able to provide you guys with the best content to follow the big three as best as possible. So going to be doing all that along with this episode. So, excuse me, guys, got a little bit of a scratchy throat. So worst time to get that. Obviously, I've had all off season to get that, and of course I get it now. But nonetheless, we're going to power through because that's what we do for the love of the game, right? So let's get to the news, mostly roster confirmations, really. I guess we could say roster transactions in a couple of areas, but aliens, ghost ballers, bivouac, three-headed monsters, and today, or as of today, triplets have all confirmed their captains, and in three-headed monsters case, additional players that they will be heading into Wednesday night's draft with. Let's start with bivouac. Okay, so bivouac announced that Gerald Green will be joining the team as a captain. He will be joining as captain, so there's no debate anymore if it's going to be co-captain or captain. He'll be the captain of the team alongside Will Bynum, who's been the co-captain there since the expansion of bivouac. And then another name into the fold, and who will be the other co-captain, will be Ike Diogu. So that's an interesting name there, because if you ever listen to the episode that when we had Rashawn McCants on, Rashawn McCants was supposed to have a team back in the day in season 3, and he was potentially going to be on one of his teams as a co-captain. He's the captain of the Nigerian basketball team, a guy that's played in the NBA for a long time. So that's going to be really fun and interesting addition to the Big Three. He's a guy that was in the Big Three draft pool last year and went undrafted. I don't know if he actually went to the combine, so that could have played a stake in why he went undrafted. But Bivouac has their captain set. Another expansion team that has their captain set is Aliens, and Aliens is looking a lot different this year. None of the previous captains or co-captains will be coming back, from Andre Owens, Greg Oden. We know Brandon Rush is over at Three's Company, as well as Shannon Brown, all out of the mix. Still going to return Rick Mahorn as coach. And by the way, I should mention that Bivouac will have Gary Payton leading the way as their coach. I mentioned that on the Fourth Man social media pages, but Big Three confirmed Gary Payton to Bivouac, Reggie Theus, 2 three-headed monsters. Anyways, back to Aliens. Rick Mahorn will be at the helm and for Aliens again as coach. I've already mentioned that Dushan Bullet will be the captain, but Jeff did say in one of the Twitter spaces that he was expecting to, or he knew that Dushan Bullet was going to add 2 international players. It's exactly what he did. Thomas Ivosev, who was his teammate over at Novi Sad and FIBA 3-on-3 basketball play, will be joining them. Guys, these two dudes won 35 games in a row at one point. They have 3 or 4 world tour titles together. That's going to be really interesting. He's a 6'7", 6'8" big. He's got really good vision. He plays really well down low, so I'm interested to see how he competes. Obviously, 2 guys that play the 3-on-3 game, professionally. That's all they play. They don't really play a lot of 5v5 unless they do so on their own time. But guys that are focused heavily on 3-on-3 and have been teammates, so the chemistry is already there. They're also adding another 3-on-3 FIBA player, and Carlos Lasmanis. He will be the other co-captain. Lasmanis is a really interesting name. He's still a young guy, 28 years old. He was the top scorer in the Olympics 2020 games and won a gold medal with Latvia at the 2020 Tokyo Games in the first ever men's 3-on-3 basketball games. So that's a really interesting name as well. Guys that are dedicating their basketball careers to the 3-on-3 game, understand the angles, situations. They'll have a lot of chemistry. And we saw what Dushan Bullet brought to the table last year in his first year with Power. So very, very intrigued about what Alien's going to bring to the table. Very intrigued who they're going to draft as well. And I'm trying to figure out what the dynamic is going to be between those 3 guys and Rick Mahorn. I think it could be a fun one, actually. There's been a lot of people questioning, like, are they going to be able to talk to you? Like, guys, all those dudes on Aliens speak English. They probably speak multiple different languages. That's one thing about guys overseas, is that those guys can speak more languages very well, including English, whereas we can only usually speak 1, maybe 2 if we're lucky, a half language. So shouldn't be any issues there. I think it'd actually be a fun dynamic. I'm more interested to see who they're going to draft. If they have any tricks up their sleeves, maybe Rick Mahorn has his eye on somebody. Maybe Dushan wants to bring somebody over from Power. We shall see. I'll let you guys know in the mock draft as well. Moving on to another expansion team who today announced their captains, or confirmed their captains. Triplets will be bringing back 2-time MVP Joe Johnson, as well as co-captain Gennaro Pargo. with a little bit of a different twist. Al Jefferson will not be the co-captain with triplets this year. Instead, they've added Jeremy Pargo, brother of Gennaro, as the other co-captain. Super solid move for them. That's now an already lethal offense just became that much more lethal. I hope Pargo gets a full workload this year. He came on late with power in 2019. Didn't get to play the full season last year with Three's Company after being a first-round pick for them last year. He's been really good when he plays that, like scary good. So him, Joe, his brother Gennaro, they're, just from the outside looking in, it looks like they're already great friends, probably got great chemistry. That's going to be a really fun team. It looks like right away, because my thought process was like they'll probably want to bring back one of Allen Anderson or Jamario Moon. I'm going to guess Allen Anderson more so because I think Jamario, I don't know. I mean, I guess Allen Anderson could go before him, but I kind of think Jamario Moon might go earlier, being a former first-round pick. But all that being said, it looked like early on one of those guys would be their first pick. Now looking like they might go try to grab a big like they did back in 2019 during their first year in the league when they got Chris Johnson. Excuse me. So I think that's the route they're going to go. I think they're going to end up trying to go for a big, but wow, what an addition. Adding Jeremy Pardo to the mix as a co-captain, and even more so on the flip side, taking away Jeremy Pardo as a potential draft candidate within the pool makes our lives easier for the guys, for us that are doing the mock drafts and trying to predict these different draft picks, because he was definitely going to go somewhere. But what for guys that were scouting who they were wanting to go with, maybe makes their lives easier because now they know he's off the market. But what an addition he would have been to any team. He was really good with Three's Company last year, and potentially maybe he's the guy to break the 4-point record. He had 5 4-pointers in the first 2 games. Mind you, the record is 6. 5 in the first 2 games. Third game, he didn't have any, and then didn't play the rest of the season. So keep an eye on that. We'll see a lot of guys probably shooting 4-pointers this year. Let's see. We got Ghost Ballers and Three-Headed Monsters. They will look pretty similar, if not exactly similar in terms of their captains. Ghost Ballers is going to bring back Ricky Davis as the captain. Mike Taylor and Chris Johnson will return as co-captains with George Gervin, the Iceman, as their coach. And on the other side of that, I guess I should mention too that triplets will be bringing it back Lisa Leslie. If that wasn't already very well known and obvious, she'll be back as head coach there. So Ghost Ballers looking the same in terms of captains and coach. And the Three-Headed Monsters will look the same in terms of captains, with Rashard Lewis returning again for his 5th season as the captain of Three-Headed Monsters. Reggie Evans and Mahmoud Abdul Rauf will return as co-captains of Three-Headed Monsters. They'll also bring back their first-round pick, Kevin Murphy, who was a co-rookie of the year alongside Jerry Jack last year, into the fold. They had that option being one of the runner-ups. They could either return both their draft picks to the pool, keep one, or keep both. Didn't matter. They decided to return Mamadou Njai and then keep Kevin Murphy. The only difference in Three-Headed Monsters is, like I mentioned before, Reggie Diaz will be at the helm with Three-Headed Monsters this year rather than Gary Payton. So that'll be interesting seeing Three-Headed Monsters playing Bivouac and Three-Headed Monsters and Gary Payton going against each other, because Gary Payton's been on that squad for so long. So very interesting. Those are all the roster transactions or captain confirmations we have for now. We're still missing Power, Enemies, and Tri-State. We do know that Power is going to be bringing back Tino Mobley and Royce White based off what Nancy Lieberman said, as well as her as a coach. Enemies, it's looking like Gilbert Arenas is returning as captain, looking like Gilbert Arenas returning as head coach, with Nick Young returning as captain. They did announce Isaiah Austin's going to be the other co-captain. So I guess we'll stay tuned to see who will be opposite Isaiah Austin, if it'll be Perry Jones, Elijah Stewart. Those are 2 guys that are playing overseas right now. So we'll see what happens there. And then in terms of Tri-State, we know Justin Denman's going to be a co-captain. Based on their advertising, it looks like Jason Richardson's going to return in some capacity. Here's what I'm saying right now, and Larry Sanders too. My thought process right now is that Nate won't be returning. Nate Robinson won't be returning. Dr. J will be returning as head coach of Tri-State. And then Jason Richardson's going to be the captain. Larry Sanders was the co-captain. and Justin Denman, the other co-captain. That's my thought process. Again, I'm just trying to read the room. I'm just trying to connect the dots here, and we'll see if I did a good job of that. I feel like I've been in the space long enough to be able to try to connect those dots. But hey, the fun thing about the big three, it always throws me some curveballs, and I love to be totally off and totally wrong, because that means something more exciting has been being cooked up in the back end. So fun to be on this side. So we'll wait and see for those. I'm assuming those will be announced before the draft, so we at least have an understanding of where every team sits before they actually head into making their selections. But that's all the news we currently have at the moment. The draft order is out. The draft will be Wednesday, May 25th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I don't know where exactly the stream is going to be. If I had to guess, it might be on CBS. Last year they had it on Triller. I don't know if they re-up with them or not. Right now, my guess is it's going to be on CBS because they're having it a little bit earlier. So maybe they have that flexibility or availability in terms of time slots, but we shall see. So that's going to do it in terms of this half of the episode. On the back end of this, we got a dope interview with newly appointed co-captain of Ball Hogs, Will McDonald, talking about the Ball Hogs' current state, talking about the Ball Hogs past, what they're looking for within the draft, why he likes the big three, his relationship with different players within the Ball Hogs organization in terms of Barbosa and Jody Meeks. So a really dope interview, a guy that we don't really hear from a lot. He's a very private guy, and doesn't like people up within his business, which is totally understandable. Totally get that. But I really appreciated him giving us his perspective on the league and why he likes the league so much. And it's cool because now he's a co-captain, super underrated guy. Like, he's been in the league since 2019. He was drafted number 4 overall in 2019, number 5 overall 2019. Last year, he was the number 4 pick going back to Ball Hogs. They want to let him go. And 2019, when they only had 1 win, was really dominant, like really strong presence within the paint. I think his second game, he had like 27 points right out the gates against enemies, and still took a tough L, but it just shows you the kind of presence he had. And then last year, his role changed a little bit with new guys coming in, but really fit that system well and looking to build off that. So really appreciate everyone who tuned into this part of the episode. Again, make sure you're following on social media at Fourth Man Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, subscribing and hitting that notification bell on YouTube, youtube.com/fourthmanpod. And we appreciate everyone at Dash Radio and the Nothing But Net channel listening every Monday and Saturday. Without further ado, let's get to our interview with Ball Hogs co-captain Will McDonald. Today, we're super excited to bring on newly appointed Ball Hogs co-captain Will McDonald. Really appreciate you taking the time, man. Guy that I don't think we hear enough about, and I don't think you get a lot of the credit you deserve. So I'm excited to chat with you, kind of hear about your big three journey and your expectations for the season. But thanks for taking the time today.
No problem, bro. Appreciate you having me on here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So like I mentioned, or kind of preface, you, for the most part, I feel like, you're someone that goes under the radar or flies under the radar, relatively private, which is obviously totally fair, completely fine. But like I said, I think there's a lot of respect that you don't get and that you deserve. So for our listeners, new and old, as the Ball Hogs community continues to grow, give me one word that would describe your game and why.
Wow, one word. One word is, I don't know, efficient.
I like it.
Efficient. But like one of the last big men who still have old school big man, and I feel like I don't rely on athleticism anymore. Don't get me wrong, when I was younger, that used to be my thing. I was a dunker, but I still also was skilled. But now at this point in my life, I'm not a big dunker anymore. I don't care about dunking. I just care about getting those 2 points. So I'd rather learn how to have a soft left hand and a soft right hand and learn how to put the basket in the ball the easier way,
Yeah, no, 100%. I think you've shown that effectiveness, that efficientness within the league throughout, your first few years in the league. And something I find that's really interesting about kind of where you're at in your career right now is that you've played a lot of ball, especially overseas. You've always, uh, been an efficient scorer, but for you, you've kind of like here as of later in your career, you've played in a couple different summer leagues. You won the TBT playing with overseas elite. What was that experience like playing within the TBT and overseas elite? And essentially now you've kind of adjusted your career to your main focus of basketball being within the summer. So how has that adjustment been where your main season is like summertime basketball?
It's an adjustment, but it's a perfect adjustment for me and my family because I played 19 years in Europe and Asia. So that adjustment being gone that long and family can't travel with us all the time and being gone 9-10 months out of the year, to be able to come back home and play in the summer in front of all the family that couldn't see me play those 19 years in Spain, China, the Philippines, Japan, all these places, that feeling is amazing. There's no feeling like that. And when I tell you something as small as like money, the money has nothing to do with this situation, because for sure I made 10 times more in one season playing in Europe than I do in the Big 3.
Mm-hmm.
But no feeling is bigger for me than playing in the Big 3 than I have since I played in Europe. You know what I'm saying? Just for the simple fact that my family gets to see me on television. They gets to see all the stuff they heard of since they haven't played since college. So
Yeah,
like playing in a big, it's a difference for a person like me. I don't know. It's like I said, it's a so I got in with Josh Childress because he was my teammate actually in Japan before I came to the Big 3.
Oh, cool.
Josh Childress introduced me, to guys, and he played with me all season. So when the combine came, Josh was like, "Hey, I want you guys to watch him." And I actually went to the combine and I kicked ass. That's what I did. So I was like, at that point, it was kind of undeniable. But if you can ask Josh, you can ask Josh today. Like I told Josh was like, "Hey, we want you when the draft comes. We want you." Blah blah blah. I said, "Cool, Josh." I said, "But let me tell you, like, one of the biggest things, the worst things that ever happened to me was when I was supposed to get drafted in the NBA by two teams. I'm not gonna say their names. When I was supposed to get drafted, I told I had these two picks and I didn't get it. And I had a big old draft party and all my family was there. That was the worst feeling ever. So I think I carried that over until my career when I went to play in Europe, and that created a monster. But at the end of my career, again, another draft comes along, and I tell Josh, I say, "Josh, to be honest, bro, this is again, I'm at that feeling where I was a long time ago, bro."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I want to know for sure, am I going to get drafted? If I'm not going to get drafted, bro, because I understand I'm the only player in here that didn't play in the NBA and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I just need to know for sure. I said, you tell me for sure, bro, I'll be okay. Man, that was the most nervous time ever. When they called my name for that Big 3 draft, that was the best feeling I had in basketball since I played basketball.
Man, that's like all around like a dope story. Got to be a dope feeling, like you said. Like I think a lot of people like within the Big 3, really do appreciate like the draft aspect. Especially there's some guys in the league that like you said didn't get the opportunity to celebrate draft night within the NBA or within another league. And I think a lot of people that maybe from the outside looking in take it like don't appreciate as much like the draft because there's like limited picks, but like there's so much that goes into it. Like outside of what you just said, not only is it like a good feeling to get drafted or have the opportunity maybe that you didn't have before, but like maybe some guys go higher. Maybe there's 20, 22 picks within the draft. Like the year you were drafted, there was like 30, but like that's like a very limited number of spots. So like even better feeling because it's like I outplayed all these 150, 200 people and got drafted top 5 like you did. So that's incredible. And also like another aspect of that that's super cool is Josh Childress, one of the OGs of the big three, but two, like to see the influence of a co-captain so strongly, because a lot of co-captains, especially I think coming into this season, it's more so strategic, right? Like you're adding someone so you can get them out of the big three, or you can get them out of the draft pool, excuse me. Maybe what Ball Hogs did with you at this point, but to see the influence of a co-captain is really cool. I want to talk about your combine experience within 2019 a little bit, because I think 2019, especially maybe for like the average fan who knows a lot of the bigger names or like more prominent names out there, I guess I should say, but doesn't necessarily know the guys that are still really good at basketball, can really hoop like that. Talk to me about like your 2019 like combine experience and what that was like.
For me, bro, like, and I wish, okay, like in general, I feel like I always took the hard road in basketball, but I feel like more players should have to take the hard road, because that's the road that creates something great. So for me, like going into the combine, I was in there with guys I don't know. I knew maybe 5 guys, and that was from playing overseas. And seen them overseas, The rest of the guys I didn't know personally. I just maybe know from seeing on TV or something like that. So going into that was a great feeling. I wasn't going in there with a bunch of handshakes, smiles. I went in there for business, and I went in there for a job. And for me, that's what made it easier. I think a lot of these guys, they know each other. They come in there, they smiling at each other, and ha ha ha. But you got to have that edge on your shoulder in a situation like a combine, because a combine is, you see how many jerseys, the same color jerseys, and all these guys. It's not that many balls, man. These guys are out there fighting, and I went out there fighting with a chip on my shoulder, and that's what got me there, bro. And that experience though was great. It was great for me, like I said, because I went in there with no expectations. I went in there knowing nothing and just understanding that I have to go in here and show my ass, basically.
Yeah. And you certainly did so. Obviously, Josh picked you, but I think, Josh mentioned that teams should be looking at you, but obviously the rest of the team agreed that you were perfect fit for Ball Hogs. You went number 5 to Ball Hogs and got that assurance. So I'm sure you gained a little bit of trust again in the draft process. But I got to say, like, right from the start, like, you had a great week 1, obviously. But when, at least for me personally, when I felt like I paid more attention, or you stuck out with that week 2 game, you dropped like 27 on enemies. Like you said, very efficient. Was there any kind of adjustment for you, or do you feel like you were more comfortable in that 3-on-3 setting, just like with where you are in your career and your style of play now?
It's that like you said, that 3-3 setting is perfect for my style of play. So it's, like I said, I've been playing in Europe for so long, and then high level Euro League. So I've been a bunch of guys that think the game first. You know what I'm saying? The guys that can play with their mind before they can play physical. So playing the big 3 was, and what really the crazy part, I want to say the unfortunate part, but the part that helped me was a lot of the guys that was above me that people knew started out with injuries early on in the season. And because of those injuries are the real reason why I got to get some daylight, some shine. And once I got some daylight, then I just kept my foot on the gas and kept going from there,
Yeah. You killed it that first season. Unfortunately, like Ball Hogs, it's just been like a tough go about, like, through the first few years. In 2019, that was a tough season, but you guys got to play spoiler to Bivouac, kicked them out of the playoffs. What was that had to be a good one to get, right? Like to cap off that first season.
That was a great one for me and the team. We needed that. We needed to win. Like, I know those guys wanted to win because they wanted to get to the playoffs. We all talked before, and they were like, "Hey, man, let us win the game." Joking, because nobody's gonna let you win, but it comes up. But nah, man, we went out there and we was like, we need a win. We need to win somehow and go out like this. So y'all just gonna have to suffer, Thanks to Skylar bringing his his strategy, bro. And we just from there and took off.
Yeah, it's funny too because well, maybe not so funny for them, but like they haven't won since then. If you think about it, like that organization, they had a tough season in 2021, and yeah, so maybe you kind of curse them with that final win to kick them out of the
We had
playoffs.
we had to pass the old ball hog curse off somebody.
Yeah, and what I really love about Ball Hogs now is obviously there's a kind of a change of the guard. Obviously, you've seen improvement every year, but 2021 was a whole different season. We actually spoke with Rick Barry on our show, I think during the 2020 season, and he said that he was in contact with you, kind of throughout that year. What's your relationship been like with Coach Barry as you've gotten to know him a little bit more and playing with him?
Well, with Rick and the whole team, like we got a great relationship off the court. After basketball, we still talk. We still send each other greetings, holiday greetings. We interested in some of the same things. Like Coach Rick liked the fish, and I like the fish.
Oh,
so I call him, I ask him good places, and things like that. And a lot of times when we talk, when us guys talk, man, it's not even about basketball.
That's cool.
Like I might call Leandro. I call him so much he might get tired. He's like, Will. We talk all the time. We always talk about stuff. We talk about him playing in practice with the guys because he practiced with the guys every day, and he still kicks butt in practice with the Warriors. So because he wants to play, he still wants to play. He wants to play at that level. So we talk about things like that. And me and my man Jody Meeks. I met Jody. I met Jody way back. I want to say in 2009 in the NBA Summer League.
Okay.
And in Milwaukee. And that was a long time for me. And that was the last time I seen him. The last time I seen him, or heard. I don't watch the NBA. I don't watch the NBA now. I didn't watch the NBA then. So that was like last time I heard him. Then I seen him once we played together last year, and we kind of clicked. And he was like, Jody even told Joe, was like, you don't remember me at the combine? And then I started thinking it back. I mean, the summer league. He was like, started thinking it back, and he was like, oh, Dip. And then out of that, man, me and him became really tight, like my bro right there, man. Man, Jody, he'll be my brother long after him and Leandro. Be my brother long after Big 3, bro.
Man, that's dope. That's super cool to see y'all clicking. And now the three of y'all are your captains now. You're taking over after Scalabrine was at the helm for a while. Josh Childress, helped lay that foundation. And we saw, even with Scalabrine last year, we saw a lot of growth last summer. Obviously, they wanted you back, so they drafted you number 4. So you got to be drafted twice in the top 5. And a lot of growth last summer. You played a big part in that. You guys bring in some dynamic players like Barbosa, like Jody Meeks. And the flow of the offense looked seamless. Good pace, ran like a well-oiled machine. What did you
say something too about that situation? Because we named a lot of people. Last person I didn't name was Scalabrine, because Josh was who told Scal to look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since Scal looked at me, made the decision, Scal has been the muscle brains behind me being in the Big 3. Because Scalabrine saw something in me. Yeah, Scal saw something in me that not only that he liked, is that when he wasn't a part of it, Scal, contacts and was like, I'm telling you, he's the player that needs to be around. And that for me and Scalabrine, relationship for me is a little different. It's a more emotional, because I feel like he was the real reason. He put a situation great for me and my family, if I can say that.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, he seems like a good dude. Man, that's really cool. So you got to make him proud this year. No, you're good. You gotta make Scal proud this year. Take the Ball Hogs to the playoffs. And I think a lot of that starts with like just how Coach Barry has kind of like structured how he wants to play. In terms of like the flow of the offense. Is that like last year we saw a lot of that worked really well. Obviously, you guys had a lot of close games, won more games, but like, is that always how you guys kind of envision the offense as you guys like talk off the court? I mean, I know it's not a lot of basketball conversations, but.
So yeah, my first year in it, we had to go by the same principles that Scott and Rick wanted, but it just didn't work. It didn't work with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we started off with team basketball, but a lot of things ended up one-on-one. And that's not our motto. That's not what we're doing in the Big Three. We're trying to have a group of guys that can play. So that's why this year, the record even showed that we were able to play a little better with this group of guys, the way that Rick Barry wanted us to play.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you can see it. Everybody can see it because we make a lot of passes. We have a lot of movement. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of assists. It may look like Barbosa is taking off shots or something, but in actuality, he's not. He's getting open. We are creating for him. You know,
Yeah,
we are creating somebody else, and that's, as you can see, like role change from the first, and I'm okay with that. From the first season, I was averaging, I was top scorer, top rebounder.
Mm-hmm.
Then this season, you know, it goes down because I have a player that can score better than I can. So sometimes you go, you know, you have to take it back. That's the best thing about our group, that we can switch up like that. Some nights I may have a game, some night Jody may have a good game, some nights Leandro may have a good game. So we have a well-rounded.
Yeah, I think that was very evident too within this past year, and it even made more sense why both you and Jody were promoted to co-captain after they decided that, or Brian decided, you know, kind of mutually that he wasn't going to come back. So you got the right pieces in place in terms of captains. First off, I didn't say this at the top, but congratulations on being promoted to co-captain. No longer have to go through the draft process, but you help with the draft process now. You got the right captains, the right style of play. What are your expectations for the draft? Are there any players you personally like that are in the draft pool?
Nope. I'm not gonna say no names or no personal players.
Okay.
That I like, but put it this draft this year was better than most drafts. The combine, the choice of it's getting, the ball is getting better and better and better. So that being said, I can tell you what kind of player we're looking for. We're looking for athletic, big, you know, offsets that's going to get out there, rim protector, do all the things that a young athletic big should do. You know, that's what we're looking for there. And then we're also looking for a big guard. We don't want a little big guard. We want a guard that can that can come in and play all positions. We want a guard that can come in and replace me.
Okay. I like that. That would be a good fit for you guys. But I guess someone too that's like just like fits in well with the culture you guys are building at Ball Hogs too.
Yes. And with that, you know, we need some guys that have some experience and some good experience playing somewhere where they had to be playing in an environment where you had to play with other guys, basically. It wasn't a one-man show. You had to play team basketball. And that's the kind of guys we were looking for.
Yeah. That gives me a good idea. I'm excited to see who you guys go for in the draft. But for you guys, like obviously championship is always going to be the goal. But with this Ball Hogs team, there's been a lot of improvement year over year. What would be in your eyes, you know, like what would you consider a successful season?
Successful for us is, I would say, winning more games than we did last season. But successful for us is making the playoffs. We make the playoffs, and then we take that success and we build on that, and we try to get to a championship. I mean, a championship should be everybody's goal.
For sure.
Realistically, in our situation, from the Ball Hogs history of all these seasons, this year is the playoffs for sure. That's where we're trying, and that's our main focus.
I like it. I think you guys really do have a realistic shot, but like you said, like league is just getting better every year after year. It's definitely going to be a grind. Heard from a few other guys too with that same thing about it's going to be one of the most competitive seasons. So I'm excited to see how you guys stack up and who you guys draft and add to the team. A couple more questions I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask you, because I think I asked this a lot before it was actually implemented, but in terms of the Bring the Fire rule, what are your thoughts around that? How did you like it after one season of it?
It's cool. It's new. It's different. That's what makes the big group. You know what I'm saying? It's something different. We have to be different from everybody, and that's one of those situations that helped a lot this year. And the right people to coaches. It's a strategy. Coaches use it at the right moment.
Yeah.
Use it in the right situation. I remember one of my Bring the Fires. I looked terrible out trying to play one-on-one against a guard.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's like a big spotlight too. Just going, spotlight's on you to make a play out there, whether you're offensively or defensively. So I like the strategic aspect of it. Like you said, I feel like, especially for someone like Coach Barry, he's going to use that like advantageously when he can. Last thing I want to ask, I know the league is obviously shifting to where teams are all owned by the league now. Like they have majority stakeholders and I guess like owners in a sense. But what I really like about it is now like it's not just fans of the league, but now we have fans of teams where you're building like stronger fan bases, guys backing you. What are kind of your thoughts about just like, the increased fan base around Ball Hogs and just, the majority owners and, how do you feel like that will affect you guys with on the team?
Everything that they're doing is coming from a place where someone has done it already. That's how the NBA started and got big. You know what I'm saying? That's how everything started. So I think the big three, and I think his strategy, all that with the fan base, the ownership, all that is a great step forward. And it's a great step for even guys like us to we can invest back into the league. And that's really good for guys who have the time, the money to back in the league, because it's going to be something great from years to come.
Yeah. It's cool too. I've been talking with a few of the communities out there and what they want to do for their respective teams and try to help out in any way. Just provide some sort of level of service to ultimately help you guys like win and just, better yourselves. It's been pretty cool. I was talking to a few guys yesterday from the Ball Hog side, and there's like guys out there like wanting to help you guys like get like shoe deals and bring out some more merchandise and stuff. So, I think that would be pretty cool. We'll see what happens.
That's going to, bro. For years to come, like I say, I give it 5 years, bro. It's going to be one of the biggest things. It's steady growing. It's only going. I see all positive stuff with the big three. I just hope that I'm a part of the big three in some way, shape, or form from here on out until I'm finished. If it's on the court or off the court, I like the whole ideal of the big three. So,
man, I'm completely on the same boat there. With both like you being a part of the league in any shape or fashion, but also too, I think the league's, it's going to be around for my entire lifetime and it's just continuously growing. So that's cool to hear that you think that as well.
Right.
But well, just wrap it up here. I want to say I appreciate your time. Really enjoyed like getting to talk to you and hearing about your insight and perspective on the league, and just want to say best of luck to you guys. Keep grinding out there until the summer, and excited to see you guys get on draft night, but also too excited to see you guys ball out this season. Best of luck to you and Ball Hogs.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you for having me on here.
All right. That was our interview with Will McDonald. Just want to say we really appreciate his time and very intriguing perspective in terms of like, why he enjoys the league and playing on Ball Hogs team is that is on the rise. So excited to see who they draft and excited to see if they're a, you know, potential playoff team this year. But it's really cool that he like wants to be so involved with the league and just, you know, his kind of what he's where, you know, his mark on the league has been really cool too. And being able to do so like without, you know, necessarily needing like social media or like being like super like vocal about it, I guess, to like the public, right? He's probably more vocal to it about those closest to him and whatever, but just really cool to hear his perspective. Not a guy we get to hear from a lot. And I just want to say again, Will McDonald, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming on. Again, make sure you guys are following on social media at Fourth Man Pod, subscribing on YouTube, and appreciate everyone on Dash Radio and the Nothing But Net channel. Don't forget, live mock draft Tuesday, May 24th. Yes, Tuesday, May 24th. We'll start at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And then Wednesday, full live stream, the 2022 Big 3 draft, Wednesday, May 25th. That starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we'll have everybody from my guy Jordan, Jeff Key from the NBA G League and the founder of G League TV. He was on last year, and always just a great mind to have on because he has so much knowledge and knows so many different players within the space. So always another valuable person to have on and just a fun guy to have on as well. He was on the show last year, as well as a lot of special appearances from Dante Green, Mike Taylor, Craig Smith, and Justin Dentman as a production in collaboration with the Underdogs podcast. So just want to say appreciate everyone again, and we'll see you guys next time.